3 maps are going to be, as it is the usual pick ban system to determine those. So let's see what we end up with as far as maps go. And it looks like we're going to get Obey starting, or picking Clubhouse and starting on attack, and then Apache picking Border and starting on defense.
So Clubhouse, Border, and Coastline as the tiebreaker. That's a pretty exciting lineup.
Yeah, these are all good maps here, and I mean, they're pretty standard maps at this point. I mean, obviously the map pool has pretty much whittled down to the maps that everyone knows very well and are pretty standard outside of Villa. But I'd say Villa even starting to become fairly familiar for a lot of teams. So nothing crazy here.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily all the way into the meta just yet, but it's getting there, and it will probably find its position there once we start moving in newer maps as time progresses. I mean, that's basically what's happened with Coastline.
Yeah.
You know, as Coastline was the newest map, it wasn't played very often. People tend to put it in a corner, and then suddenly, you know, we have newer maps coming out, and Villa makes its way in. And then, oh, okay, Coastline's now slap bang in the middle of the meta, and it's one of our most played maps.
And actually, we just had the Grim Sky release, which I imagine most of you are familiar with, but that did not bring a brand new map per se. It brought a map huge rework of Hereford, which is not in the map pool yet.
We can call it new.
Absolutely. Same thing could be somewhat said for Clubhouse previously, which is pretty well known now. And also, Consulate got a small map buff. Consulate's still in the map pool, although it's not in this match at the moment. It could be in the second match, but it did get another bomb site added to it. So there's little changes here and there, but I'd say this season maybe didn't add as much drastic changes as far as maps go, but we do have the 2 new operators, and they're both playable at this time. We've seen a lot of good action from them in Montreal as well as in Pro League, so a lot of demonstration of what can be done with these operators. I'm excited to see what especially the unknown teams like Apache do, because I love watching a brand new unknown team play, because they'll play very differently. They'll use gadgets in ways maybe you don't expect because they're playing on a different meta. They use guns you don't necessarily always see, or maybe even attachments you don't always see.
Yeah, so going into this match, of course, the main thing is to have an open mind, because Apache is going to be doing some I'm sure, very different stuff than what we're used to seeing out of CG Sports. And I actually, same as you, I anticipate that. I'm looking forward to having those newer things shine through. And with the new operators, as you touched on, that means there's more opportunity for them to show us stuff that, you know, just is undiscovered yet.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen quite a bit of that play with Clash to an extent so far, but I feel like Maverick, we haven't seen a huge range of demonstration of what his capabilities are just yet.
You know, I think there's been a couple standout players who have taken on Maverick and given him kind of like a life inside of competition. One thing that really stands out was Leon Gids in Europe just a while ago.
Yeah.
Did have a pretty standout performance, and I think it comes down to just the knowledge of where you can apply the destruction with your opponent not being aware of it, because of course it's the stealth factor of Maverick that makes him so powerful.
I think both of those operators are a little more improvisational, I would say, than some of the other operators, where you're going to have some typical setups or typical strats specifically that you're going to do, whereas both those, you bring those, and often you have a basic idea what you want to do, but you tend to have to improvise throughout the rounds, and I think that's going to make for some more availability, especially for Obey, because they don't know anything about this team, are going to have to improvise, I'd say, more than Apache will have to.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some interesting improvisation from both teams either way. I'm sure that Obey is going to have some special tricks up their sleeve here that will be a little bit different than their normal strategy.
Yeah, I know they've definitely been working towards this and wanting to debut some stuff, so they definitely may have some strats already prepared for this. I mean, assuming the map picks went their way. With the best of 3 chances are they got at least one map they have some stuff for.
I mean, on Clubhouse, Border, Coastline, you're not looking at too much of a surprise there. Clubhouse, of course, is going to be the newest of all of those maps with the vast amount of changes that were applied to it. And that might be something that gives Apache a slight edge going into this, given that they have less experience. But Border definitely, I think, going to be a map that's going to lean towards Obey, given it is one of the most staple maps in any sort of esport or any sort of esport factor of Rainbow Six. And Coastline as, again, one of the more played maps these days. Again, Obey's going to be very comfortable there. So the first map, I think, on Clubhouse is where Apache is going to have to really shine through and get a win if they want to win it out in the best of 3.
Well, one thing they might start to do to be unpredictable to begin with is the operator bans going into the maps.
True.
You know, there is a certain meta around a lot of those that's fairly conventional outside of targeted bans, usually for specific players. So Apache might do something kind of off the wall, and usually when you're preparing strats, you kind of have some idea which operators may or may not get banned, and you've got some backups, right? But in the case of having a team that you don't really know could ban something wild, and you're like, wow, we didn't even think about that operator being banned. Now we have to find a replacement for it.
I mean, but how do you really do that now, right? We've got these 2 new operators being brought in, and we've got so many factors to account for in the operator ban phase. It's so hard. It's impossible to account for every possible ban, but as such, it just forces people to have that adaptability in mind at all times. Well, all that said, we are now finally going to get into the match. First map, of course, is going to be Clubhouse, and Apache will be banning first and defending first.
Well, this should be exciting to see, as I said, what they ban, and there goes an interesting one to start out with. Not sure if that's the most important operator to ban on this particular map. I would say you'd want to take a hard breacher off, even Maverick in this case, but they obviously have a particular weakness, I would imagine, they don't want to deal with. But Lion being a more conventional ban here makes more sense coming out from Obey, but we'll see how that Blackbeard ban may or may not affect what Obey want to do.
That ban from Obey makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking about an operator that's going to give a team that potentially has a bit of a leg down already an advantage, then it's Lion. That's going to give you a lot of comfort having him in your corner. And Obey just doesn't want to deal with any of that. Mira also going to be banned out, which is a powerful operator on this map, to be sure, especially on those top floors, and Echo will be the final ban from Apache.
Always fun to not see the new ops banned, especially on this map. This is the one that I always anticipate Maverick being a huge impact on, especially for those top floor bomb sites, and most of all, Cash Room, because that is the one where defending the wall is so key, and it is really, really difficult to do if Maverick is in play, but it looks like they're going to go with just Thermite. Nope, Bosco's going to bring out Maverick, assuming he doesn't 6th pick off of it. And we're not going to see Clash come out just yet from Apache unless they 6th pick to it. But there are definitely a hard breacher and a half at least coming out from Obey, because they will be attacking Cash first, so that makes sense. And then a 6th pick over to Doc, so he was just teasing the welcome mats.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of does play into the mentality of Frost in the first place, right? What is Frost? Frost is an operator that forces you to look down when you're vaulting through a window. I mean, if you're already accounting for it, having seen a Frost be picked in the reveal phase, then sure, I mean, you're not going to actually have any Frost mats anywhere, and once you figured out that she's not actually picked anymore, you can change the way you play. But in the beginning, you're thinking, oh, there's mats somewhere. Got to look out for that.
It'll take you a while to actually confirm that Frost is not being played as well, because you don't see who's playing which operator, so you don't just see Doc and immediately know he's 6th picked off of it. You'd have to see the other 4 to be sure that that was the 6th pick, and that's assuming your team mentally kept track of everyone that was on the enemy team. Of course, while we see their icons at the top, they see all question marks until they're spotted.
Right. So, already a good start here for Apache. They are clearly showing their game knowledge. They have some decent setup going into the Cash Room, and that means that, again, we talked about it earlier, this is a relatively unknown team, hard to really measure where they're going to land, but at least the setup already is looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how they fare once walls start getting opened, though. That's the difficult part, is once you lose that wall. But there's Garage starting to get opened as well with the Thermite. You really only need 2 walls for the most part, one maybe on Garage and then one on that Kennels wall. But the Kennels wall is the tricky one. I almost feel like it's worth getting first sometimes just because you might lose one of your Thermite breaches. But with Maverick in play, chances are that won't be as likely.
Yeah, not going to be worried about it, I'm sure, with the Maverick available. Missing some Evil Eye Zaps there onto the drone, and that's going to make a store be really exposed, and Bosco will actually just finish him off. Nice repel here from the Maverick. We were talking about newer stuff, and this is actually somewhat new, the way he's positioning those breach holes from the torch.
Yeah, great use of Maverick right there, and of course, they don't have a Bandit or a Mute to stop that, and Benji picking up the second one here. Despite his half health, they already have taken Garage Stairs as well, and I would say a large amount of Cash Room with those 2 kills. It's partially going to be down to some roam play and good defensive play here, but Vaughn is going to be that defensive player taking out the entry fragger of Skies.
So that's the first kill there for Apache, and they're starting to fight back, but so much ground lost. As you touched on, it's not a great situation already for Apache, but Vaughn, a second one onto my man, and he's holding on to construction. Obey have had complete dominance over by the garage, but on the construction side of things, it's been a bit of a struggle. Holes opened up, and the Evil Eye right above Bosco is going to really make that plan difficult. Manji will take out Vaughn, finally shutting him down, leaving Apache in a 2 versus 3, but they've got two very lit opponents right now, and Swamp Fox is going to take out Bosco as he again attempts to plant the diffuser from below. This is great control in that lounge position. Willem's still alive, just trying to apply some pressure, but he'll finally be down and finish off, leaving Swamp Fox the final defender. And he's going to have to fight his way back upstairs. Not an easy task, to be sure. As he moves his way towards the cash room stairs, you could see Obey is well aware. Adam addressing them directly and waiting for the push. The bolts will deny Swamp Fox the push up the stairs in the immediate, but all he need do is wait. However, he only has a few more seconds to do so. As the marks come out, you'll see that one of the attackers has moved outside. Moving back in, Benji's going to finish off Swamp Fox, and that's it for Apache in the first round. Obey, a well-coordinated attack there onto Garage.
Seemed like they got a little bit lost when it came to the plant. And you saw them have a good start to the plant. They're like, okay, we're going to get that down. Then the Evil Eye started making it a little bit of a problem for them. Surprised they didn't destroy that earlier. I don't think they were even paying enough attention to see it because they were a lot more focused on the holes in the wall and getting into servers. But nonetheless, like you said, a good execute. Good plays by Vaughn, though, trying to counter it on Vigil playing so close to site.
Yeah, the big thing there was Vaughn. He kept his team in that round for so much longer than they should have been. And it's actually a bit of a work of both teams. Obey were very spread out, trying to push in through construction and garage at the same time. And if Obey just focused on garage, then you got to imagine Vaughn's not going to have the opportunity to get those kills in the first place. It might have just been a complete sweep. So props to Vaughn for that situational awareness, and then Obey as well, maybe needing to shore up their attacks and focus on one place in particular.
Well, interesting that now they didn't have to change bomb sites, but they voluntarily went over to Gym Bedroom, and Obey have changed up their attacker lineup slightly. Instead of bringing their Maverick, they're going to bring Hibana and Thermite. So they're going to have double Hard Breacher still, but different ones, the ones that are actually well adapted for this bomb site as well, so it seems like they made the right choice. Maybe they just decided they didn't need the Maverick, although it did lead to a kill last round in that nice little hole that he opened up on the top of the reinforced wall. We'll see how they do on this bomb site. Hopefully they do something about the Evil Eyes a little sooner this time, although we'll see where Willem sets those up. There goes one of them right now.
One thing I noticed from these teams so far is Apache's operator selection is very heavy on the utility side.
Yeah.
Even their most frag-oriented operator is Jaeger, and even he, I mean, he's a bit of a hybrid, really, with being the only operator on defense that catches grenades. So he's this lineup here from Apache is focused on bringing the right tools for the job, and I'm really curious to see if their setup this time around can give them the edge that they're trying to force out. A very interesting castle barricade there.
Yeah. I mean, I got to assume they're maybe anticipating the construction connector being taken over and that wall being opened, and they want to hold logistics and maybe fight more on the hatch side, not worry so much about that. But it does seem like maybe not the best castle because you're making a big assumption that they open that up. Otherwise, I mean, I suppose you could tear it down, hide in it, and then put it back up.
It just honestly seems a bit redundant. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to open up the wall, then you're going to know they're opening the wall. What is that castle barricade giving you? It's giving you more prompting, but you don't need more prompting because they're going to open the wall.
Yeah. Well, this time, my man taking out some utility early. You saw him catch the Evil Eye, and you also shoot the mute jammer, and then shoot someone in the face, and that's going to be Swamp Fox. So great start from my man.
Yeah. And Apache has managed to delay a decent amount here. Benji has pushed his way into the server, but Prompted is still holding on to that cache room, which is going to slow up Benji and Bosco both. Bosco's starting to drone in there, and he's looking for his opportunity. Prompted actually going to fall back into construction. The right call in this situation, to be sure. 1 minute left here for Obey as they set themselves up. Fuser is down, but Skies has managed to push his way into offices and gets a swift kill onto his store before moving his way into Gym. He's managed to inch his way into the site without worrying about any of these defenses. My man actually, to back him up, will take out Willem. And Sky's yet again missing a shot onto that smoke, or rather mute, on the main stairs. Flashes will blind him, though, as Vaughn starts to fall back down. And this is a 2 versus 5, so not easily retakeable here for Apache. They had a lot of delay on the cash side of things, but Obey eventually just decided, hey, we're going to walk around it. No big deal. Vaughn will be taken out by Skies. Great positioning on the main stairs, and Prompted is now the final defender who was playing so far from the site earlier in the round. Now put in a position to 1 versus 5 clutch or lose the round.
Great attempt, though, but Sky's having a much, much better round that time. You saw him die early last time due to Vaughn, but that round I think it was at least a 2 or 3K for him. Just really aggressive play. I don't think that castle barricade stopped him in terms of pushing it.
No, it did not, certainly. It was, okay, so that round, we take a look at it. Apache, again, they delayed pretty heavily on the cash side, and they were really good at doing that. They did lose one man holding that cash end of things, but ultimately they wasted, say, a minute 40. And Obey just decided to walk around, just leave that. And the thing that stands out the most to me is that Apache didn't hold office at all.
No, they set up the castle barricade and then just kind of abandoned it.
It was a confusing defense from Apache, and especially considering they had players in positions who were completely exposed to office as soon as Obey had control. So, an odd setup, to be sure.
Well, either way, I think aggression won the day. You were talking about how they had mostly utility operators, whereas I think that gave Skies some chance to come in and just be the fragging operator, to just go in and just slay everyone at that point. Not that the operators they had weren't, capable of taking battles, but it was really down to just out-fragging them right in the middle of their defense. We'll see how they do this round, though, because they are going to go back to cash. We saw some interesting 6-picks sneaking out the Maverick yet again, this time from Bosco. And then we saw a mute 6-pick. Last time they didn't have anything to stop the wall, no mute or bandit. This time they're going to bring the mute and see if that's a little more effective. Willem, though, going to put up that same Evil Eye, which this time I imagine my man might be able to take out and make it much easier for that plant to come down from Benji if they get that far. But Willem's going to be playing possibly something similar to what we've seen like Easily do, for example, where he'll play that Maestro up on the catwalk and use the cracks in the railing there to be able to fight down to the door, because the door was important last time to the attack, although they had a Capitao to try and burn him out if he can't land those shots fast enough.
Yeah, a pretty common strategy to use in order to hold Garage, but it was thwarted last time thanks to Bosco's great play using Maverick on that server wall. You can see he's going to just start things off by flashing in through the B window. The reason he's doing that is, of course, just to clear the ADS. Prompted will be very swiftly taken down by Skies, who has moved his way into Garage now, and we'll get a double onto Willem. Great positioning here from the Ash. Now all he needs to do is maintain control of her Lounge, which is one of the positions Apache actually used in the previous attempt at defending this site very well, but it will be no longer available to them.
This is very much old Skies. We used to see him just be a huge Ash main and just destroying everyone in terms of that super aggressive 3-speed play. We're seeing him do it yet again. Not too focused on utility, just letting the rest of his guys do their job. But Astor does take advantage of a slight height advantage on the stairs and manages to land the headshot on Skies. But damage had been done and distraction had been done as well. Still, a one-man advantage to Obey at the moment.
Great positions here for Obey. A lot of time available. They did lose their main fragger downstairs, but the Lounge is still going to be something I don't think Apache is really thinking about at this point. The main focus has got to be on just holding on to that site. Gas canisters and Evil Eyes are making Obey's life quite difficult as they attempt to push in and go for that plant. Bosco's going to start things off, and it looks like he's going to be able to manage to get the defused plant down, possibly, but Swamp Fox will take out Benji. And actually, Bosco has fallen out. He's waiting for a better opportunity. These gas canisters from Swamp Fox are making life, again, very difficult. A man with a nice drop will take out Astor, who attempted to deny the defuse plant from below. He's also going for some pressure onto Vaughn, playing the top of those cache stairs, but he's unable to land the shots. You see, decent positioning here from Swamp Fox again to deny the plant. They're so focused on this lounge position. My man is still alive, but he seems to be elsewhere. He's finally back in the fight, though, leaving just Vaughn, the final defender. He wide peeks onto Adam, and he is not enough to handle the Thermite right now on this spot. Obey will take yet another round.
Definitely, as far as Apache goes, I got to give a lot of credit to Swamp Fox. Did a great job stalling out that plant from Bosco for so long. I mean, Bosco should have, in theory, been able to get that down much, much earlier, you know, particularly before Benji died. But because of all that pressure you were talking about from the smoke canisters and eventually from Lounge as well, I mean, they left it all to my man to take Lounge. You mentioned earlier in the round them not focusing too much on Lounge, but then my man also wasn't at first either. Came in, got a kill, moved on, and then had to come all the way back to take it again.
See, that was the thing. In the first attempt of attacking that site, Obey didn't worry about Lounge very much at all. They completely ignored it. And now going into the second, they... well, put heavy emphasis on it. Skies was down in Lounge at the beginning of the round, and it was in fact where he managed to get his very first kill. So, decent adjustment there from Obey, realizing that it was the main focal point of the defense for Apache and countering it directly.
Well, now we're going to be going down to Church, one of the bomb sites we haven't seen yet. But interestingly, you're going to see what looked like, well, they 6-pick off it. I was going to say, no, they're still there. 2 heavy roam-looking operators coming out from Apache, which is surprising for this bomb site just because, especially for a team without as much experience, going for a potentially roam-heavy defense on the site is going to be very risky, especially with the way that Skies has been playing that very aggressive Ash, which he did 6-pick to this time, so they didn't see that coming, potentially, but...
I agree that the inexperience of Apache is going to hurt them if they attempt to go for a heavy roam, but I also think that, there's room for it. It's definitely more feasible than it was in the past. I mean, you look at old Clubhouse, you just don't roam basement. If you're roaming on the basement, you're doing something wrong, and that was reinforced several times. A lot of professional teams would go to the basement, try to roam, and just get absolutely shut down. But with this new Clubhouse, I feel like that's been alleviated somewhat, and there's definitely room for interpretation. So it's up to Apache, though, to prove us wrong, and I agree with you. I think that this is going to be a really difficult task to pull off.
We'll see, though. It might be this kind of surprise that they need, something that Obey won't necessarily be anticipating. They're bringing basically the same utility for the most part they have been every time, but this is, of course, where the roam usually comes into play the most, right? Is all the way up here, trying to hold off Cash for as long as you can. If they can delay Benji for a while, this usually actually gives a little bit of advantage because trying to actually take the site downstairs does take time to accomplish.
Yeah, the drone work here from Obey is pretty decent, but they haven't been able to get the kill yet. You could see Benji looking up for a mark right now, and he's going to wait for Adam to do just that. And here we go. The coordination there shining through for Obey. A relatively easy kill for Benji, as you see prompted standing still. Vaughn going to fake out with an impact after being pressured upstairs, but there's 2 Obey members, and each lane is covered. My man will shut him down, and Apache's roam has effectively been turned off.
Unfortunate, too, they weren't able to take anyone out and only just do damage to Benji. I mean, Benji is a utility operator, so he's going to want to stay alive as long as possible to provide that extra utility. But man advantage alone is definitely going to work out for them here when they actually go to push because they've still got what was originally a minute and a half left and is still slowly ticking down and dropping the diffuser. They're obviously switching up to have someone else take it, but they got to make sure to pick that up and get set up for this actual push here. And then Willem playing inside Dirt. Are they actually going to go for Dirt using Maverick? Because they're using Thermite on the kitchen hatch.
They absolutely could. As we've talked about before, we've seen examples of players who have basically they've practiced and practiced and practiced with Maverick and figured out how to use one magazine to make a crouch hole through any surface. So we could see that actually come here for Bosco.
Well, I like that on Dirt as well because you're definitely not going to hear it. Any sound it was going to make, you're not going to hear as far in as you are. So that's going to sneak on. If he waits till the last second to come in, they will not see that coming.
Absolutely. Good marks here from Skies. You can see the Jaeger of a store is just kind of confused as to where he's being marked from, and he will be finished off as he rotates to box. Willem, though, an immediate refrag. My man, though, onto Swamp Fox as well. So Willem, the final defender, but he will shut down Bosco, attempting to flank at the wrong moment. The silence from that Maverick blowtorch, not enough in that situation. Willem's going to have to fight out of Dirt Tunnel, though. This is a nearly impossible task, and he will be shut down in that endeavor. Obey take another round, putting it 4 1-0.
Well played by Willem, though, trying to play that as best as he could and actually catching the Maverick coming in was definitely working in his favor.
It seemed like he was aware of the Maverick earlier in the round, too. Definitely good situational awareness and understanding of those new operators.
It also might have been the case where he was peeking it and managed to see the hole getting cut, because obviously you'll see the beginning of the hole starting. I mean, it's not quite like a thermite charge where you see that big old box of sparks coming through or anything like that, or the X-Kairos where you see that, but you're still going to see something. You're still going to see visual indicator potentially before he sees you, so you could move back like that, and well played by him on that. It was just maybe they committed too many people to the realm, left them too few people left on site to defend, but they also Willem did get a good pick onto Benji, stopping that what could have been an Arsenal take fairly early, but manpower advantage just gave them all that they needed to get in there. Not wanting to go to bar, though, they are going to try cash a third time. So far, they have not won any bomb sites, so they could still continue to play wherever they want at this point.
Yeah, Obey is setting up for that 6-0. They're ready and waiting for it at this point. Cash Room, the next stage, as you talked about, this is the third time they have gone to the site, and in the first attempt, they had one keen advantage, and that was the fact that their lounge play went unhindered. In their second attempt, Obey was aware of how much Apache was relying on lounge to deny the plant in B, and they directly countered that lounge play, getting many kills downstairs. The question is, what adaptation will Apache bring this time? Are they going to just try and, focus on lounge again, or are they going to maybe do something different with Garage to deny that initial control that Obey has been so reliant upon? We'll find out.
Yep, definitely be interesting to see how this goes down this last time, because like you said, they've felt it out. They've played this. This is the third time. They're bringing mostly the same operators outside of the Legion, I believe, is the only new one here for both teams. They are going to need to stop Skies from coming in and fragging out, though. That's definitely been a big problem for them. And Vaughn did shut him down that first time, but after that, it seems like Skies has been able to kind of do whatever he wants for the most part.
I think this is an opportunity for Apache to prove their worth, because this site, again, having been played 3 times, this is where they need to start making changes that are going to actually influence the round in terms of their play style and their strategy. And not every team can do multiple strategies on each site.
Yeah.
In fact, there are many teams that only have one strat for each site, and that's just what they rely on, and they'll adjust it and they'll move it, but
we're pretty much seeing that from Obey. They're doing the exact same strat again.
They are, and it's working out for them. Bosco's going to take out Willem, and how did he do it? The same way he did it on the first time. It's just rappel up on that server wall and open it with his blowtorch, and then, oh boy, dead Willem.
Well, it definitely worked out yet again. And Willem I feel like site maestros are so strong when it comes towards the end. You even saw that last round. That killing one early, I'm almost feeling like that's starting to be the new killing the smoke early sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely it's very similar. I mean, it's that indirect denial. You have it from Smoke, you have it from Maestro, you have it from Echo, and it's something you never want to lose early on. The positioning of the Maestro for Apache is definitely something that can be called into question. Sky's looking for his opportunity downstairs. He knows he's got an opponent on the west side of the building. Just watching that threshold, he will get a frag on Devon as he peeks wide. And it's already looking like a 5-0 here for Obey. Impacts coming down from the drop in construction. Sky's now going to be aware of that potential pressure. My man, though, alleviating it as he pushes into construction himself. Manages to get the shots towards Legion. Not immediately killing him, but the disruption from that Grijmat will actually put a lot more pressure down. What is that, though?
Oh, no.
Benji with the firebolt, not downing his teammate, but finishing him off. He will get a kill onto the store, though, with his own firebolt yet again. Lemand gets a Claymore kill onto Prompted, leaving Swamp Fox in a 1 versus 4. It's all but over. So little HP, almost no chance in the post plant, and he'd have to have a miracle clutch to win this one out. It's not going to happen. 5-0 for Obey at the beginning of Clubhouse. There's looking like there might only be one more round after this.
Yeah, I was hoping Swamp Fox would at least be able to pick up one more person before the end of that round, because it was a good clutch situation for him to be in, but such low health meant they could pretty much spray and have a very good chance of killing without having to be accurate at all. It is a bummer to be in that kind of situation when you go to clutch.
I mean, I imagine if they had pulled out to their pistols, they probably still would have been able to make it work. I mean, you just got so little HP. That's really a killer. If you can't take one bullet or possibly two, then it's hard. It's hard in that situation, even for the best of players.
Yeah. Well, we'll see Obey actually starting off very differently than what we saw from Apache. They didn't go to church till their 4th defensive round, and that's where Obey is going to start. They're going to be bringing a very different lineup there. The Clash, though, going to be 6th pick off for Skies playing Vigil, something we know he's pretty good at. And similar to how he plays Ashe, but the defensive equivalent in some ways, in the way he kind of sneaks around and takes map control and kind of does what he wants around it. Is a case where I imagine Obey communicates with him, but I don't know that they necessarily need to kind of corral him. He just kind of is this wild dog a lot of times on the map.
So Obey choosing to go to the basement first round. Interesting choice there. Of course, the Apache's choice was cash. They mostly were focused on those top floor sites. One thing I really want to actually take away, I forgot to mention this for Obey, was how they were using that Maestro. It was pretty masterful. Bosco, when he was rappelling on the server wall, he was blowtorching in a position where he was not exposed, so he didn't risk his life while opening up the hole, because he could rappel from underneath, right? And then he wasn't in any line of sight of his opponents because he was elevated. And then from there, Apache wasn't actually putting emphasis on his blowtorch holes, but he could apply so much pressure into the garage, and it was uncountered for the entire first half.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing they could have realistically done to him was open the kennel door and throw a C4 up from there with a run out. That's probably the only way they could have hit him, or if they got lucky on a run out from the garage door itself and just try and shoot him down.
Or maybe trying to just play the hole and try to shoot him when he challenges Willem in the garage. Either way, a masterful Maverick play, and we'll see if Apache can actually bring the same here, as Swamp Fox is going to be playing Maverick. Have you ever gotten the Maestro Maverick those two mixed up?
Yeah, they're the two newest. They start with an MA. One's on attack, one's on defense. It is definitely, we're gonna get used to saying just Mav, because you can't. There's no short for Maestro. You're not gonna say mice. That just sounds a little
mice.
Weird. Yeah, you can go with Mav, but not mice.
Hey, either way, Swamp Fox now on Mav. See, I did it, and he will be moving his way towards the billiards. Good positioning there. You can see Obey, they do have, I believe, some roamers, but not nearly as heavy a focus on the roamers as what we saw from Apache.
I gotta imagine Apache was thinking they were gonna be attacking Cash. Otherwise, they probably would have bought the Habana instead of Maverick. But Sky's getting taken down so early, and then Swamp Fox finishing that onto my man. That's a really, really good start for Apache here to maybe take a round here on their first attack.
Yeah, might not be a 6-0, which is really good. It bodes well. I mean, every round you can take away from Obey is definitely good, I think, from Apache's perspective. Now, they do have a lot of control. They have a decent amount of time, very efficient in that roam clear, and they're going to start opening up their avenues.
Yeah, it's unfortunate they can't efficiently open 3 hatches, and that's going to leave them a slight disadvantage. Maverick can open some holes on one, though, and have some angles down. It's not the greatest, but there's some opportunity.
It is really quite annoying to open up a hatch with Maverick.
No, just open up holes like that, give you angles, and then don't try and use it for entry. Just one you don't need to drop. But Adam going to drop someone on attack. That is the sledge. Not the most important operator, but those grenades going to be gone. And then following that right up onto prompted, now the man count even.
Adam also has the opportunity to run out here from the tunnel into kitchen if he chooses to. It's not an easy run out, but he's got that made available thanks to Willem, I believe, on the thermite opening it up. Bosco trying to solo hold in church, while the other 2 Obey defenders will be situated in the arsenal. Adam coming out of the tunnel finally. Nice shot there from Astor as he puts Benji on low HP.
You want to say Astro, don't you?
I do.
Switch the letters around.
I do want to say Astro, yes. Adam takes out Swamp Fox, and it's looking worse and worse for Apache as these last 3 anchors hold on, but there goes one of them, Benji eliminated, but Adam and Bosco will get the final kills. And there you go. GG's come out in the chat in the form of good halves, and the first map now in favor of Obey.
Yeah. Definitely a good start for Obey, of course. I mean, not the most unexpected of results, but I do feel like the last round was actually one of the best rounds from Apache. You could either chalk that up to them figuring some things out, or just the fact that they switched sides, maybe played a better attack than they did a defense. We'll see how they do on map 2, though. I mean, Border as you mentioned, though, is probably going to lean more towards Obey, but I don't know how much more you can lean than 6-0.
I got to be honest. There's a little bit of there's a level of unknown for Apache, since it's really hard to measure them, since they have not as much formal experience in CG sports. But from what we witnessed there on Clubhouse, they have a baseline understanding, and they're working their way towards a better one. So I'm sure they gleamed a lot from the match that they just played, and moving forward, they'll be able to learn, especially on Clubhouse. Border, a great platform, again, for them to, I think, do something similar.
And I think this is a map that maybe even depends more so on hard breachers, in that there's a lot of hard reinforced walls that are going to be important in this. I mean, Cache was the main one that was important, I would say, on the last map. Whereas on Border, yeah, you have the Armory one, that's kind of the main one, but there's also a lot of other walls you've got, like the bathroom walls you've got to deal with. If you're going to play some of the other sites, you're going to have to deal with potentially the office wall as well, into archives. I mean, it's not necessarily like a garage, but there's still a lot of opportunities for players, like the Maverick players, for example, to show their stuff on this map.
Yeah, I think Maverick is going to have a better position to shine, sure. I think there are some situations on Clubhouse that are similar, especially, again, on the top floor sites. Either way, it is going to be similar to Clubhouse in that it is very hard breacher oriented. I agree with you there. We could see some huge upsets in the way the gameplay flows, with maybe a Thermite ban. We've seen a lot of that before from the likes of SK in the past, or maybe Maverick bans as well, as he could be influential here. Even Habana bans have happened on Border. We've seen before Maverick existed, we've seen dual hard breachers being banned out on Border, and it's been some interesting matches.
Yeah, that usually didn't work out in the favor of the person banning the second hard breacher, but it's definitely a possibility. It's a tricky thing to deal with, but now that there's more options,
it's one of those situations where you're shooting yourself in the foot, and then you're also shooting your opponent in the foot. It's not a fun situation for anybody.
No one's walking around at that point.
No, it's a bit of a limp for both teams. But who knows? I mean, we haven't actually gotten to see the operator bans yet for Border, but they are going to be very relevant, especially if they're around those hard breachers. If I'm Apache, actually, in this situation, going up against a team like Obey, I would want to probably ban out some hard breachers. Make it hard on them.
It's hard because there's quite a few attack operators that are good to ban, especially against a team like Obey. You're going to want to think like, well, definitely Lions, one, I don't want to play against them. I'm not going to want to play Glaz against them. Ying's a typical ban for this map as well. It's like there's so many attackers that it's like, I just don't want to deal with.
What's really confusing to me is actually their Blackbeard ban on the first map. I'm grasping at straws here, but the logic I'm going to go with is that internally in their comms, they were saying to themselves, all right, guys, we can do this. We can outskill them if we just make it so we can shoot them, without worrying about a shield. Then we got this. Easy peasy. It didn't work out that way.
No.
But I'm trying to figure out what the logic was behind banning a Blackbeard on Clubhouse, because Blackbeard is a great operator. Obey can play Blackbeard very well. However, is Clubhouse. I feel like that's not really Blackbeard's, standout map. It's not even as much a standout map as Border. Border is probably going to be better for Blackbeard. Coastline is a crazy good Blackbeard map, but Clubhouse, sure, he's a good operator, but does he really stand out? No.
Maybe if you're retro, I feel like that's the one person that really sticks to Blackbeard on this map. Either way, though, we'll see Border. At least we'll see what these operator bans end up being like. We could see another Blackbeard ban. That could even just be they just hate playing against Blackbeard. Some people are really really passionate about that.
I mean, we see the same thing happen with other operators such as Lion. Some of the best teams in the world, they automatically ban Lion because, you just don't want to deal with it.
Also, if you don't want to play it, that's another reason. If you want to play it, then you're like, maybe I'll deal with it. But it looks like Apache are at least, if nothing else, consistent. They are going to bring that Blackbeard ban yet again.
Okay, so didn't work out the first time, but of course that's not the only factor that didn't work out in the first map. So we might see a little bit of a mix-up here. Maybe they'll change things second time around. On Border, it definitely makes a lot more sense to ban Blackbeard. Same ban as well from Obey, Lion gone.
Well, we'll see if it continues to follow the same trend. Very likely, though, to be Mira next and possibly Echo last, because those bans do make sense for this map as well. So we may see just a complete repeat, mostly because of Apache's strange initial ban.
believe they've switched it up, though. Miro, I want to say, was banned from Obey in the previous map. Maybe I have it written down wrong.
And it was this time as well. It's just the ban order is always tricky to remember.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. I totally wrote it down wrong. Echo, the final one, gone, so it's exactly mirrored from the last map.
Well, at least it's a different map, so those bans will, in theory, play it a little bit differently, but overall, yeah, mostly going to be the same result. And that means, I mean, the Lion ban I could see definitely being helpful for, let's say, for example, the way that Skies is going to be playing on a roam. He's not going to want to have to deal with something like that. He's going to want to be playing flexible and fast.
The Lion ban is universally useful for both teams.
Oh, yeah,
you don't want to deal with that Lion. I don't think anybody does.
No, it's definitely a tough thing. I mean, there are teams, though, that will not ban it just because they want to play it themselves.
We've seen that before,
yeah.
But sometimes that comes back to haunt you. There's some pretty. That's yeah, they won't see that one coming, Skies.
Skies just wants to use the 6th pick regardless. I think that might actually, I'm not sure that. I think that might speed it up if you 6th pick, regardless if you don't choose another operator. I think it might speed up the timer, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I want to say you're right because
I hope I'm right.
It probably works the same way as like operator selection and all that.
I just hope because I hope there is a way to speed that up for if you're not going to use it. Either way, though, they have some good utility. You mentioned before them picking a lot of utility operators on their defenses, which they'll be starting again. I almost feel like with how close they were to actually winning a round on their last attack, I got to mention that they wish they started attack on this map. But this was their map pick, so they didn't get the choice of which side. So we'll see. Looks like we might have to go for a rehost after this round. There might have been a small technical issue, but either way, I believe we'll at least finish out this round first. Hopefully there's no stuttering. I know occasionally some players are getting that, and I am seeing a little bit of jarringness, so it looks like it could be the stuttering issue that players are occasionally getting that does kind of require a rehost to fix, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So hopefully not too much revealed, although I got to imagine there was a decent amount revealed to the other team. But either way, I have a feeling it was going to be revealed very quickly either way. Probably not going to be a big issue on the rehost.
Yeah, and everything's probably going to play out exactly as we saw it in in the first seconds of that round. But yeah, that is a very very unfortunate situation to have to rehost there. But no, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, Border, the way they were setting up, it was Armory first. It looked like pretty default stuff, nothing surprising at all. Obey is still leaning heavily on what they appear to just be, just frag it, just kill the enemy.
Just enough utility to set up those frags.
A very basic utility, yeah. I mean, 6 picking from an Ashe to an Ashe, which, by the way, accomplishes absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But yes, maybe it speeds it up. It seems like Obey just wants to get that fragging power on the board and try to outskill their opponents.
Well, you can't fault them for it working all 6 rounds last map. Not that there weren't some struggles. We don't want to throw salt on Apache and make it look like they weren't doing anything at all. There was definitely some good plays,
yeah,
but they definitely couldn't get to the point where they were really all that close to closing out any rounds in their favor. So
yeah, it definitely seems like there was a bit of a struggle to make anything happen on Clubhouse. We had some standouts, like you said, like from Vaughn, for example, especially in that first round. But after that, it seemed almost like they deflated. When Apache went on to their very first attacking round, they managed to hunt down the roamers with relative ease, in fact, quite efficiently, really quite lethal. But then as soon as they started to try and fight the anchors, it was just one loss after another until they eventually bled out.
In this case, they might have a little bit better success on Roam on this map. I wouldn't say this is like Roamer's Paradise, but they might have some more flexibility on this one than on Clubhouse, depending on which bomb site you're playing. There's obviously some certain ways to play Roam depending on the site. Like Church, you see mostly the successful Roam is going to be like, oh, let's defend cache and bedroom, for example, to try and stall them out for as long as possible. Whereas Border, you tend to play a little more kind of rotational downstairs if you're playing upstairs, and not necessarily fixed on one, although obviously Workshop is a good area to be in when it comes to them trying to stop it. So if Obey get a little lazy on their roam clear, instead of, because a lot of times you're clearing the path towards where you want to go when you're just kind of being efficient about your roam clear. If they're being kind of lazy and more focused on the side attack because they're feeling confident coming off that 6-0, could be some small opportunity for players like Vaughn to maybe get a pick or two.
There absolutely could be. I mean, he seems like the player on Apache who is put in that position. You know, to get the picks, to get the advantage early on, give your team the fragger edge. But they're going up against quite possibly one of the most stacked fragger teams in all of all of the United States and North America as a whole. So it's it's a struggle, and it's not something that you could really rely on.
You know, with the way that it's such a frag-heavy team like that, the one thing you can do is try and give yourself an edge in gunfights so that their just gun skill doesn't factor as much. Some of that's going to be trying to set up some smart angles in terms of you having angle advantage or the ability to quick peek them. The other thing is going to be intel advantage, of course, if you can have, like, let's say lots of black eyes, the evil eyes, Legion mines, anything you can do to give yourself some warning that they're coming, I think would definitely help and set up a situation where maybe they go in a gunfight. Even Grismont mines set up in the right place could give them the jump, potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that, though. We haven't seen a ton of that from them. I mean, obviously, playing a Vigil gives you some defensive advantage, but doesn't give you any kind of advantage in necessarily getting the jump on them if they are thorough and kind of droning you out.
It's a struggle, you know. I feel like even before that, there are some really basic things that Apache's going to need to really shore up, which, you know, just where are we leaving, or what are we leaving exposed, what are we covering in terms of angles and rooms and things to hold. You know, for example, when they were defending Master, we saw offices be left completely open, and Skies walked in, started tearing apart that defense one brick at a time, and he eventually managed to get so many frags that it overwhelmed Apache, and it was all starting with the Jaeger looking in the wrong direction. So yeah. There's I think some things that Apache are going to need to shore up, but we'll see when we actually get to border. Before that, though, we're going to throw to a short break. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty, and welcome back from the short break before border here. And we did finish map 1 already, so at least we got that squared away. But map 2 looked like it was going to be a little bit of a struggle in the start there, but hopefully should be no problems getting started here.
Yeah, we should get back to it soon, but we're back here with Apache versus Obey. Coming off the first map, which was a 6-0 in favor of Obey on Clubhouse. There's a lot of pressure now on Apache. They're going to have to put up a heck of a fight to show that that was just a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, with a team like that, if you get to the point where it's just looking like you're not going to be able to win, at that point you almost just want to show off some cool ideas or some kind of tricks, make some plays, because this is your shot at some brief internet fame, if nothing else, right?
Do something that says, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, some potential for something. I mean, obviously, they haven't necessarily, as far as I know, made it into any of their notable leagues at the moment, so this is their shot. But the upside for them, of course, is everything they learn, they can take and come back again in Stage 3.
Yeah, if we're oh, here we go. We've got it going on. So we're going to load right into a border. But yeah, if we're looking at the two matches that we have today, Apache versus Obey, and then we've got Sinister versus Nomads later. This is probably the most askew in terms of experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get right back into the match.
Hopefully no issues here, but they are going to be obviously having to play the same bomb site and same operators to get that set up. So no sixth picks from either team. I don't think they had before either. I think it's just the case where they kind of are starting with the way they want to start, and the conventional bomb site to start on as well. Nothing too unusual on the defensive setup, other than the fact that they're bringing two of the kind of denial operators with both Bandit and Mute. Usually it's one or the other, but there are definitely good uses to have some Mute as well. Although the Bandit is usually enough, depending on whether or not you're really, really committed to trying to stop them opening one of those walls, or just trying to delay that at best.
I think if there's a site that you can justify bringing a Bandit and a Mute both, then it's Armory. There's a lot of ground you have to cover. Usually what will happen is the defenders will send out probes to feel where the attack is coming from and adjust their anti-hard destructor accordingly. But you can also just bring both potential ones and blanket the entire area and not worry about adjusting in the middle of the round.
Well, unfortunately for them, there is a Maverick, of course, which is not subject to being denied by either of those operators.
Right, of course, yeah, he can just open up anything with no counter whatsoever. And, of course, you just shoot him, right?
I think of his torch as more of a magic wand, like a little sparkler.
Yeah. It's like, you are now open, and it's silent, and yeah, that's Maverick.
Silent, other than him muttering abracadabra under his breath as he does it.
That's about the volume as it.
Yeah.
Abracadabra.
There you go, and there it is, abracadabra.
You are now open.
Sesame. So that's going to give him a nice line of sight there. They took over CCTV fairly quickly, though.
Yeah.
That was on Apache to give that up so quick.
No contention whatsoever. I mean, it makes sense. If I were Apache in this situation, I wouldn't be trying to fight CCTV.
Especially against such heavy fraggers, and knowing that they can pinch it successfully.
Yeah. Those line of sights being opened up, that means Obey will be able to cut off rotation between A and B, and once they open up this A wall, we'll then have a pretty easy push, considering they've cut the defenders in half effectively. Thermite on the A wall, and there are currently 3 anchors for Apache sitting in the A site, waiting for that push to happen. Obey will drone that out, and they are now aware they have lots of crossfires established. My man on the rappel, Skies on the north balcony. Here comes my man from that window. Skies also making sure to shut down a store, so it's looking really good for Obey. My man getting pressured, but Skies will shut down Swamp Fox as he attempts to run outside. Vaughn and Prompted the final 2 defenders very swiftly into this round. Still a whole minute left here for Obey. You can see Prompted moving his way into bunker or half wall, as some call it. Adam will take out Vaughn, but Prompted manages to get the first kill for his team and relocates to Sandwich. Skies will shut him down, and Obey take the first round of map number 2.
Definitely a swift one, and I suppose if you're confident on your executes, what better side to start on than attack, right? Because you're the one in control of the pace to an extent.
I would say that Obey is in control of the pace no matter where they end up.
Very true. They can play very aggressive on defense as well. They are going to try lockers a second time, see if they could do it any better, but I got to imagine that that execute was not a fluke. They could definitely pull off a very strong, quick push, but they're bringing different operators this time, it looks like, unless Skies is just messing with us again, which is, I would say, probably likely. Although I could see him being a very good with that F2 as well, not really being a problem for it, because he's going to have Benji take that 6th pick. And this is what I was talking about. This is why sometimes you see Ying banned is this particular bomb site. It can be very difficult to deal with blinding out that entire lockers area.
I can see from Skies' operator selection that he's just going for fragging power. He doesn't really give a darn about utility right now, and that's, fine. It's working out great for him. It worked out great for him on the first map. It's working out great for him here on the second map. You usually aren't going to bring a Twitch unless there's a Mira in play, and since Mira's been banned, that's obviously not on the table. However, she's got a great gun, and yeah, fragging power.
Yeah, it's summing up in one word. He's definitely been showing that already at 3 kills for his team. Prompted at least managing to pick up the 1 last round, which is, I mean, I guess that's not bad considering the heavy pressure he was under at the time, managing to pick that up. But I think that's taking advantage of the chaos, if nothing else. We'll see if they can do it a little bit better this time. Maybe they'll contest CCTV, but somehow I doubt it. It is.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing that. We'll probably have, if nothing else, light pressure on the top floor.
Yeah.
But mostly around archives and armory, I'm sure.
Well, they will be bringing some different stuff in terms of both sides, because now there's a castle there set up on Apache side, which actually I think they might have brought last time, but there's no Maverick being brought this time from Obey. Instead, they're going to bring a Habana and then that Ying, as well as the Twitch. So mostly different outside of, I think, perhaps Adam and my man. No reason to switch my man up, though. He's been fairly successful on that operator on both maps so far.
Well, there's no reason to switch up Skies either. He was having great success on the Ash, but, already having success here in the second round. Skies will take out a store as he attempts to get the line of sight onto that north balcony. What a nice shot through the barricade, and Obey are already off to a good start.
Looks like Skies was more than welcoming of that gift and said, that's fine, you can go ahead and waste your C4 early in the round. That's one less I have to deal with. But Swamp Fox killing my man. We were just talking about how well he was doing on that. Good thing Skies was there to refrag, but maybe he should have got that kill a little bit earlier. But hey, hindsight's 20/20, plenty of operators left for Obey.
You can see Benji looking for the fight, but he's actually going to lose it against Vaughn. Great positioning there from the Legion, but he is going to... Oh, wow.
Nicely
I was
done
about to say, not going to be able to finish it, but he gets the impact. So he will catch his opponent in that rotation. Obey not able to recover their Ying.
I have a feeling this is going to come down to Skies just walking in and killing everyone at this point. I mean, there is one downstairs, so that's one he's not going to be killing, but he could just go hunt him down. Prompted, though, is going to finish off Adam. So actually, a decent comeback here from Apache. It's 2-2 and 1:20 left.
As Skies gets the 3K, there will be 3 eliminated players for Obey as well. So there's a fight back for Apache, and they still have the Maestro in play, using those Evil Eyes, trying to find any potential damage he can onto Skies. It's very unlikely that he's going to be able to zap him without losing the camera, though, so just going to use the information instead. Probably the right call for Apache.
Yeah, we'll see. This is definitely slowed down, though, for Obey with less players on the attack here to be able to do anything. And I didn't realize they'd actually switched over to vents downstairs. It's the bombs are almost in the same positions, too, so when you're looking at it from the top view, it looks like they're still up there. But Sky's already with a 4K. I think he's on track here for that ace.
The final defender is going to be prompted in the bathroom, and he's gone. An ace for Skies in round number 2, and Obey will take it, looking for their 12-0.
Definitely the case where I don't think Skies cares too much about losing players. Nice to see he was running that SK skin as well on the FAMAS.
I mean, I gotta be honest, man. All the pro skins look nice.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But I think a lot of the pro players, they're using the other team's skins because, yeah, you can support your fellow pros, and a lot of these guys are friends. They might be rivals, but they're still friends. And then more importantly, they look nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So why not run it, of course? But that's going to contribute to, the prize pool for potentially themselves even, right? So
right.
Those
that charge from their one skin purchase could end up small kickback. Yeah. Well, So round number 2 to Obey, and they still have yet to drop one in the series. Armory defense here yet again from Apache. So we've seen Armory, Ventilation, Armory, and they haven't been able to shake their opponents yet.
Well, at least they've been able to get a few kills. Prompted managed to get a second one, and the Swamp Fox and Vaughn also picked up one. So they're not completely at 0, but it's definitely a situation where they seem to be getting a little outclassed in terms of these attacks. As I mentioned, their defenses, their attacks against Obey's defense were a little bit better on Clubhouse.
Their attacks?
Yeah, their attacks were a little bit better. Yeah, you're right. It's not plural.
Their singular attack.
Their singular attack
was yes, it was much better.
I was counting each individual person as an attack.
Oh, okay.
They're 5 attacks.
Continue.
Yeah. So I mean, them starting again on defense is definitely maybe not the greatest thing for them to be doing, because this seems to be where they're really struggling against such a frag-heavy team. Although you know, it's hard to say. We only got to see one round of that, as you mentioned last time. Hard to really gauge off of that one round.
I feel like, honestly, when as I'm watching this, it feels as though Skies right now is a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
You know, being able to just walk around, and he's got targets. I mean, he's been able to put up 8 kills in 2 rounds.
He's in that T-Hunt mentality right now.
Well, that's a bit mean to Apache.
No, I don't mean it in the sense that they're just terrorists, but I mean in the sense of the way you play T-Hunt, just kind of going around the map, just shooting everything that moves.
Yeah, that does seem, that is how Skies is playing. He's kind of just looking for fights and taking them and winning all of them. And that really shouldn't work, but it is working. Either way, Apache right now trying to stop the bleeding, and they will be again defending that armory. It's going to be an A wall take here for Obey. As you can see, they're ready to thermite already. My man has disabled the mute jammers that may have been on that wall.
This time they're not playing half wall though to counter Benji. They're actually just going to count on Swamp Fox to stop it with this C4 throw. That doesn't work. Now Benji's going to be able to live a lot longer. Now we might see the Candels come out for the take this time.
Now, see, the danger of playing at the half wall, of course, when you're dealing with a Ying, is that you can't really escape the Ying Candelas.
Yeah.
You rely then at that point on your teammates covering you from the other side of the A site, as they aren't going to be flashed from the Candelas. But it's very dangerous, and it's not something you want to rely on too much. So that's probably why Apache isn't playing anyone there. Either that, or they're just not going to want to take that risk.
Yeah. I like how when Bosco's playing Zabana, he still opens up the same holes he did as Maverick, essentially.
Here comes the rush from Benji, and he will take out Prompted, followed up with a kill onto the store. And he's got complete control over the A site. Candela into B will also blind the players therein. He does push them actually into Fountain. A 3K for Benji. He's looking for his own ace. He's only got 2 more, and my man will take out Swamp Fox. Bosco onto Vaughn, so no ace for Benji, but Obey clean up shop, and a 3-0 is established.
Well, so far that is 2 losses on Armory. They did, I'd say, a lot better on Vents. If I were them, I would consider that your primary bomb site at this point, because that split defense is working a little bit better in terms of at least maybe isolating some of the attackers or getting some of those kills on those pushes. Swamp Fox, I can't imagine going to stick on that Capcan. That seems like a bait 6th pick to me, but
I honestly think that Capcan would not be terrible in this situation.
No, but you don't want to show it.
Yeah, you don't want to show it. You would 6-pick into it if you want to play it. Now, it looks like he might 6-pick into it. As the reveal phase comes out, he's probably going to maybe, or not probably, but quite possibly 6-pick onto the Capcan. There you go. So, of course, when you're selecting your operators and it's not locked in, your opponents don't know what you're fumbling through. So, yeah, it makes sense that way that falls down for Apache. Either way, bringing a Capcan here, again, makes sense. Slow down your opponents, if nothing else. And considering how fast Obey has been playing.
That seems like the right counter, though, now that Sky is 6th pick to Blitz.
What the heck?
He was going to go, he was at Buck originally, was going to go to Sledge, and it was probably just like, nah, you know what? Let's just walk in with a shield. Let's just do that. So we'll see how successful he is on that, but it's definitely going to be something where Capcan might have some advantage if he's able to catch Skies being overly aggressive. I mean, maybe that's where Apache could succeed here, is a bit more trap operators. I mean, yes, they had Legion sometimes to slow down potentially the pushes, but maybe they need something that covers whole doorways. You know, they were going to potentially play a Frost last map, but didn't end up doing it. But maybe a Frost, Capcan, like Ella and Legion, just full trap meta would be the one thing that could work in their favor to an extent.
Does that Capcan seem abnormally fast to you, or am I delusional? It's the pistol, of course, but geez.
Well, I mean, he did get buffed to that 2-speed a while ago. We haven't seen a ton of him since then.
That was so long ago, though, wasn't it?
That's true.
I guess it's just, the Russian operators in the past didn't seem as fast, but now they've all progressively gotten faster. Sky is going to detect the Capcan downstairs with a shotgun, and he's on the hunt. The flash not going to work through the shield. Swamp Fox manages to down Skies, but Benji will eliminate him before this kill is secured. Obey able to pick up their charging blitz, and he will be back in the fight.
That is going to help. They'll still, even though he gets that 50 HP back, when you're a shield operator, you need all the HP you can to be super effective. But my man going to take down a second one. So this is definitely an advantage for Skies to be able to try and push more aggressively, as they have a huge man count advantage now, despite his lower health.
Yeah, 50 is still enough to work with a blitz. You just got to get in your opponent's face as fast as possible. Interesting lack of droning going on here for Obey. They've been
droning.
All right, fair. But in terms of actual droning, though, they have been so thorough so far in this match, and it seems like they're trying to get that 12-0, but they're allowing Skies to solo entry. That Capcan trap just did a tremendous amount of damage onto both Adam and Benji. Sky is also going to eat a lot of bullets there, putting on relatively low HP. Pretty much a single bullet will eliminate him, and it's the C4 from Prompted that's actually going to get the kill. Skies with the F in the chat after he had been unkilled so far. He had a perfect KD, and it's gone now. Yeah, there you go. The Capcan from Apache working a lot of wonders in this round, doing a lot of damage and also getting a kill. Leaving, though, just 2 defenders on Apache. That's Willem and Prompted. Prompted will get his second kill of the round onto Adam. So 2 versus 2. Lots of time for Obey. And the utility is abundant as well. As the Candelas start moving into the A site, so will Benji. On half HP, it's not a perfect situation for him, but he's got the positional advantage and the ability to plant the diffuser as Bosco covers. The denial from Prompted, though, and he's going for another kill. Bosco not in a great spot. He has the most HP, but he's going to have to find 2 in order to clutch this out. Gas canisters still in play from Willem. I'm not sure what he was thinking there. Full blind, Bosco will sprint into the site. And this might not be a 12-0 after all, as Bosco starts peeking around the corner. Prompted with the kill. Bosco goes down. What a 4K from the Valkyrie.
I mean, Bosco just did not give great coverage of the plant, for first thing. He was not watching the angle the way he should have been. He saw the tip of the gun after the kill happened, so not the great positioning. And then that flash throw, it felt like there might be some serious frustration that was coming out from Bosco at the end of the round there. I don't think he was in the right mental place to try and clutch that out. But the Capcan might have set him off earlier. I mean, the
Capcan was the real MVP. Prompted got all the kills, but the Capcan, well, not all the kills. Again, Swamp got 1 with the trap. Either way, that the damage he did with those traps really outskilled Obey, and I'm sure that they're very devastated that they aren't going to get their 12-0.
No, they're definitely going to have to work a little harder now to avoid that. Swamp Fox seizing the Capcan again. This time I got to imagine it's just a tease in terms of messing with them after that last round. As you mentioned, they're being successful. I do think the Capcan was the right play in terms of, once to try and catch them off guard for being so aggressive. And then playing Blitz on that round, that was the perfect round to do it because, as you mentioned, less droning happening that round.
I almost feel a little silly saying Capcan was the
MVP?
Was the MVP.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, he did so much damage, and ultimately, gotta say, that's honestly kind of Obey's fault. I mean, they didn't check for the Capcan traps. Yeah. There were so many Capcan traps that got detonated, enough to actually get a kill. So big whoops there from Obey. I guess they were just getting a little ahead of themselves. And again, there was a lack of droning, a very distinct lack of droning. And the pressure being applied from Obey was, kind of onto one particular area that was being heavily defended by Apache. Now, all that said, these factors coalesce to result in a very narrow win.
Yeah, in
for
this
Apache.
Case, they're going to try it again, too, with the Capcan. Might not work as well the second time around here. I mean, Skies isn't going to try and play that Blitz again, but he is going to be playing his aggressive Ash, which is a good target for those Capcan traps. But you know, I got to imagine they've probably found out very quickly whether or not he's playing that Kapkan again this round and going to be just slightly more prepared for it.
Looks like it's going to be a relatively slow take here from Obey. You can see their caution has gone way, way up. They are not going to allow any more rounds to slip away, or at least they don't want to allow any more rounds to slip away. Kapkan in a great position there using, I believe, the shotgun inside of the A site, and he can hold that window with relative ease. Still CCTV control for Apache, and so they don't have to worry about the vertical pressure just yet. Obey also doesn't seem to be putting a lot of emphasis on taking that top floor, instead focusing mostly, at least, on Passport.
Well, we'll see if that can actually turn into the push they need. I mean, that's the usual thing to do, is open up that Passport wall. They do have 2 hard breachers, but a C4 does find one. Prompted is on a roll.
Prompted a nice double kill, and Swamp Fox will follow it up with a kill in the skies, but it's fight back from Obey. They haven't managed to equalize, but they have at least gotten 2 kills and decent positioning. Prompted has been absolutely on fire here on Border, playing that Valkyrie to perfection. But Obey still has managed to get the diffuser into the A site and has started that plant. No denial here for Apache, and the run out from Valkyrie, if prompted, might actually be able to do it. Yes, indeed. A nice shot onto Bosco, and he's going for another 4K, but Astor is going to get that final kill. Apache take out 2 rounds thanks to Prompted's excellent Valkyrie play.
I was starting to feel like Swamp Fox was going to be a candidate for MVP, but now I'm starting to think Prompted's trying to compete for that there. Very well done, 2 rounds in a row. I mean, it was a good combination between them two as well. They both did a good job both rounds, but just a smart play on that rotate, catching the plant coming down the way he did, and that really changed things around after those initial flurry of kills, because that set them up in a great position to just finish out that round and actually get a second one. But of course, now we have the side switches, so we'll see if, you know, if maybe there is a better attacks coming out from Apache that we just didn't get to see. Plural this time, maybe. And well, I mean, I guess for sure, because of course the score line isn't a 5-0, so we'll get a chance to get a better idea. They will be bringing some fun operators here with the Glaz, Dokubi, Yang, Capta, Buck. It's going to be something to deal with here for sure from Obey. They are going to be going with roles that they seem fairly comfortable with on Clubhouse. This guy's going to be that Vigil Roam. We'll see how effective that is, or if they're able to drone him out and kind of shut him down.
He's definitely a very strong roamer, and as an individual, and using Vigil give him a lot more flexibility. See those lines of sight opened up, the impact grenade into CCTV. Any players inside of the office from Obey are going to just try and deny that south doorway into CCTV, forcing the rest of the attackers to push on west balcony, which is very dangerous if they want to attack the A wall. Now, of course, that's pretty expected. You're going to have to push a west balcony, which is usually why a lot of teams will put multiple players in that position and also focus on taking CC first. But if you can't push through the south doorway of CCTV, then it becomes a little bit more complicated. Either way, a little bit of pressure being applied by Obey in the prep phase already. And Sky's actually going to be roaming in CCTV. I can't imagine he's going to stay here for too long. He's probably...
He doesn't open the hatch yet either, though, to rotate out if he wanted to.
Yeah, at any moment he can open the hatch, but I think that's the second impact he just used. So he's out of impacts. He cannot open the hatch anymore, which means he's just going to be sticking around. Benji, though, using that angle we talked about earlier through the wall, denying the south doorway, and so the plan here for Obey is a one-man roam in CCTV to hold the west balcony and the doorway from that same balcony, and then Benji from offices will deny the south door, and together they hold CCTV as a unit. It's a decently safe strategy, though it leaves Skies very exposed. Vaughn gonna take out Adam, so there's an there isn't a response here from Apache. They're not letting this go out of hand, and the Glaz from Prompted actually gonna take Skies down as well. Vaughn gets his second onto Benji, and Apache are looking pretty good in this round. My man and Bosco, the final 2 defenders, and there's 2 minutes almost left for Apache to get this attack down.
Well, we're starting to see why this was their map pick. This is definitely going much better for them than Clubhouse did. They still haven't finished the round just yet, but they're definitely getting close to doing that because a minute 30 left and a 2-man advantage here really working in their favor. There's a smoke also coming out from Bosco. I wouldn't say too early, but definitely not going to stop a last-minute push. Bosco, though, does finish off Swamp Fox, so no more phone calls coming out from him. And you're seeing the Glaz at very low health. They might even want to consider a reset with the amount of time they have left and how valuable Glaz could be on that push, because you don't want a random spray to take him out.
I'm just a little confused at how Apache is playing this right now. They have such an advantage, and they're squandering it by playing incredibly slow. They also don't seem to be, well, they're only just now starting to focus up on one objective, and they have taken down my man, so the slowness actually working out great for them. And it's just going to be Bosco, the final defender, as he fights against the last three from Apache. The gas canisters are all expended here for Bosco, and as Buck moves his way back into offices, he's just trying to distract, allowing for his teammates to push in, but Bosco will shut down Prompted and rush through the bolts to take out Willem. What a play from the smoke of Bosk. He is one of the most notable smoke players in the world, and oh wow.
That's how they end the round.
We're just gonna breeze on by that. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. So Obey taking their 4th round, and Apache struggling a little bit in that the final stretch of that round. So it looked like they may have had it, but they tripped over themselves just a little bit.
I mean, it was because they didn't plant the diffuser, right? It wasn't because they got the last kill, but it was still like that was a confusing ending to a great start.
No matter how you chop it up, it was a pretty hilarious display.
A loss, yeah.
Yeah, a loss is a loss, and well played to Bosco. Again, as I stated in the middle of the clutch, I mean, he's one of the most notable, I think, smoke players in the entire world, and he's definitely proving it there. So, yeah, 2 rounds that Apache managed to take out, and we are going to be doing a quick rehost for, I think, obvious reasons, and we'll be getting back into the action pretty soon. But before that, we will be throwing to a short break. So
gives us time to set up the rehost, because there was quite a few rounds there.
Yeah, well, we'll see you soon.
All right, welcome back for hopefully the conclusion here of the first match, or at least the second map, rather. I don't want to write off Apache just yet, but it is still looking very Obey favored. They took the first map, I'd say very strongly with a 6-0, and they were looking pretty good at the start of this map, although it started to slip away a little bit. But I got to say, they're still looking to close it out pretty effectively, even on the second half.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Obey is the team with the clear advantage here. We're getting to the point now where if you want to look at Apache, you want to talk about the standouts. And to me, the standout actually singular is Prompted right now. He's definitely looking like the player who's got something in his corner, who's got the potential for a future in CG Sports, and I think is the one to watch. And we'll see how he plays moving forward. Maybe some of the other guys from Apache are going to start to stand out as well. So maybe Swamp Fox and Vaughn
liking
on the
Swamp Fox's plays overall. I mean, he was the Capcan that made the Capcan plays. He's made some good smoke plays as well. He's not fragging as well as Prompted, but I would say as far as support players go, he's being fairly effective.
Yeah, picking Capcan and outskilling his opponents by detonating multiple traps. Well done to him. But he did actually do that. So, yeah, no, like I said, Swamp Fox and Vaughn also on the precipice, I think, of being those standouts for Apache. But it definitely has been a bit of a struggle for them in this match. They have made some major mistakes, some pretty obvious, glaring ones that you just witnessed in the last round. We're just gonna try and pass on by that as much as possible for their sake. But they've got potential. I mean, managing to take 2 rounds off of a team like Obey, that is something.
Yeah, that's absolutely something. And that is the thing is, in a match like this, like I said earlier, even if there's maybe the odds are stacked against you, whatever you can show, whatever you can do to demonstrate potential is always good. And we've seen, like, for example, I always like to use the example of Hyper getting picked up after a good showing from Disrupt in a previous DreamHack as a case of, if there was a player to really just show up on this team, even if the team doesn't go anywhere, maybe that player gets a chance to. But either way, this is a tournament system where they have a chance to come back after this, because even if they lose, they're not out. They can come back. They can come back next week. They could play tomorrow for a chance to come in the next week. So they're definitely not shut out, even if they lose. But they haven't lost yet. They've won, as you mentioned, the 2 rounds. And they showed potential to win a third that last round.
Yeah, they definitely did, but they managed to mess it up in the end, and that happens. It does. But the difference between this and Hyper was, it's that LAN experience.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter the platform, whether it's USN or DreamHack or Pro League or anything like that. It's LAN versus online. So in this match here, the performance of these individual players is going to matter for their future career, and it's that spotlight that's being shown on them. And this is the next best thing when you compare to LAN experience. But actually being at the event and performing at a live event on a stage, that's why Hyper, rocketed to the forefront.
Not to mention 2-0ing EG once was a good performance. It's more than just 2 rounds.
Something to talk about. Yeah. So it's also about your opponents. But Obey is one of those opponents. One of the right now, they're not doing so great in their position.
That's only halfway.
But it's only halfway, and they're still one of the top teams in the world, and still one of the top 8 in North America, in the United States and North America as a whole. So, managing to take 2 rounds again, fall back to that. It's a good job for Apache.
Well, either way, I would like to see them get more of that LAN experience. As you mentioned, there is a chance they could go to like a DreamHack or something like that, where they could do a BYOC entry, which is a similar sort of entry to what they're doing here, and they managed to get in through that, which in some ways, technically, there's more competition online than there is sometimes in person, because of the fact that, anyone can enter, but this is also a regional tournament, so there's, pros and cons in terms of what the competition level is going to be like for them. But nonetheless, if they can manage to make it in even a second time, that's a good showing for them. If they can, if they don't make it this time, if they try and come in next week, or one of the 2 stage 3 qualifiers, showing that ability to kind of come back and try again, even if it doesn't get them anywhere, will definitely give them that experience going towards hopefully a future LAN event. Because as you said, that's really the thing that you need in the end, and it's going to be very difficult for a lot of these teams to make it all the way to the finals of this event, but it's still experience.
it's hard to tiptoe around the fact that going up against Obey was incredibly unlucky for Apache. That's not exactly your ideal opponent. Anyway, all that said, we are going to get back into the match. 4-2 in favor of Obey. And they will be moving to Ventilation Workshop after winning their very first and only defensive round on Armory.
Well, definitely a chance we could see them make this work. It's a different bomb site. They had some potential last round. Prompton's going to bring something that's going to help at least a little bit in catching those black eyes, as well as the alibi holograms. Do those have a specific name? I'm trying to think now if there's a specific name for the holograms.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I just call them holograms.
Well, everything has cute little names in here, so I think there's got to be one.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's slipping my mind, though. So either way, the hologram's probably not going to play too much of a role. The reason it slips my mind is because it's probably the least notable thing about Alibi. The reason, Prisma, there it is. The reason you bring Alibi is because you have the Bailiff shotgun pistol, which offers you a lot of soft destruction, and you have the impact grenades, which offers you, hey, look at that, even more soft destruction, coupled with the fact that you've got a great gun and you're a 3-speed. So that's why you bring Alibi.
Yeah.
Now, the Prismas are just side bonus type deal where, hey, yeah, that's cool, I'm glad I have that. Something similar to Vigil, as an example. You bring Vigil because he's got a great fragging kit.
There are some good uses of the Prismas, though, that I would say justified to an extent, in the sense of, like, we saw a good example was Slash playing the server stairs on Bank, using all of them stacked up to help protect him, because it kind of makes it very difficult for someone to push you or to peek you in certain situations. It's not, definitely not overpowered or broken, but it's still useful. And Sky's going down early. A lot of damage taken by Apache and then finished off by Adam, but nonetheless, a great early kill. So that Alibi not going to be showing off too much more this round, unfortunately, for Skies.
Sky is seemingly having a conversation in the chat about every single time he's died so far. It's definitely been a little bit aggressive, is the word I want to use to describe his play style in this match, and rightfully so. It's been working out for him very well, but this time around it's not going to.
Well, it looks like they took the time to give their reset at least to Prompted, which is good considering he's been one of their stronger fraggers. The more health you can give him, the more chance he'll be able to turn that into some kills for his team, especially now that they've lost their entry fragger. And Willem, though, the one to actually follow it up, but Vaughn is going to get one as well, so they're all getting their turn this round.
Yeah, Apache yet again in the advantage, but oh boy, we still have some players left alive. Interestingly, Bosco's actually going to be on Castle, and Benji's the one playing the smoke, so a bit of a switcheroo there. We'll see if that actually hurts them, or if these role swaps aren't going to matter too much.
Definitely a possibility for it just being the case of the way that they wanted to play it, making more sense for that switch up. But as you say, Bosco is a very good smoke. I'd imagine Benji, an equally good smoke. I mean, there's a lot of good smoke players out there. But they're going to have to capitalize on that. They have a minute left to find and get these last two and attack on this downstairs. They have top floor control. They've just got to win some of these gunfights down there. I mean, obviously the last two left alive would be normally sticking to the site, but the way Bosco is kind of on the roam could kind of give Apache the advantages that they need.
Yeah, this mark from the attackers and information is abundant for Apache right now, and finally Bosco will go down, leaving Benji in a 1 versus 4. He's got the operator in the position to do it, but there's a decent chunk of time left for Apache's last 4 attackers to secure this final kill, and they're being very, very cautious. They are aware that this is still losable.
Yeah, last round was a good demonstration of that. Just having the advantage isn't enough to close out a round, and closing out a round is something they're not been too great at so far. So Swamp Fox getting the diffuser down here, definitely important, but they need the coverage of his teammates, and here comes that flank, but the shots can't land fast enough, and Vaughn getting that kill right when he did made all the difference in the world, and nicely done by Apache, picking up another round, this time closing it out.
So we're still pretty close to that match point, but now Apache's narrowing in on equalization, bringing it to 4-4 possibly. Currently at 4-3 though. They're going to have to get one more round in order to bring it nice and even. But it's been looking pretty good. That last round was definitely a lot cleaner than what we've seen from Apache so far. Though I have to say a lot of it is due to Obey being way too aggressive. I'm not really sure what they were thinking, but peeking everything is not going to work all the time. And clearly Apache has gotten the memo and is starting to play a lot more passive, and that's aiding them quite a bit.
So now can I say plural attacks have been decent?
Yes. Now you can say plural, as they have managed to win now 2.
Yeah, I mean, not bad. It's been
now 1.
It was 1.5.
But they, yeah, you want to say 2.
I want to give them that credit, but they kind of flamed out at the end of that last round before that.
Yeah.
So
I guess we could almost say, you could say 2 if you take the 2 half wins, because we saw when they were attacking on Clubhouse as well.
Yeah.
They were pretty close in that
go.
one round that they managed to attack.
We'll just make up math as we go.
We're figuring out how this works.
It all adds up in the end.
Mm-hmm. Somehow.
Yeah. We'll see though if Obey kind of get their heads back on straight and kind of don't play into Apache, as you were just talking about the fact that their aggression was getting kind of punished. And when you're a team that's well known for being good fraggers and having a good reputation as a very strong team, you're going to kind of play off that confidence to an extent. And sometimes it'll work at the beginning because you kind of get that bullying sort of thing happening, right? Where you're sort of bullying the other team in terms of kind of oppressing what they do by just shutting them down very, very quickly. And I feel like they kind of did that in Clubhouse a little bit. I mean, I don't know if bully is necessarily the right word, but it's kind of oppressive, aggressive play.
Obey the oppressive bullies.
Yeah, right? It seems appropriate for an organization to obey. But either way, Sky's at least punishing the aggressive Astor, but prompted trading right back onto him. So we'll see, though. I feel like Apache still have it in them to maybe get one more round before Obey gets it together.
They have managed to get the refrags. I mean, it's nice and even. Losing Skies early on yet again, and it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world for Obey. Again, they've been winning a lot of these rounds, not based off of necessarily Skies' amazing performance, which we saw in the first couple rounds, where he was dropping 8 kills out of 2 rounds. But going into the second half of this match, it's been, I think, more a team effort. So not a huge worry for Obey. Apache, on the other hand, they have managed to get a decent chunk of control, but they don't have it all yet. You can see my man playing inside Archives. This is a great position to deny the push from offices that is inevitable. As you can see, prompted droning out Adam. They're going to see Adam, they're going to call out Adam, and they're going to say, hey, we need to pressure into Armory. But they might not know about the Valkyrie playing just aside in that Archives room.
They definitely might not know about that punch hole that Bosco's using as well. Nice pixel play from Adam because he doesn't take any damage in the process. However, my man, despite his positioning, does fall to Swamp Fox.
And prompted will take out Adam as well. So Obey, they are in a worse and worse spot as this round continues to transpire.
This looks so familiar. Yeah,
we might see a 4-4 situation going on here. Bosco again playing on the castle. Benji playing on that shotgun SMG smoke. And it's pressure on to Benji first this time around, though Bosco is still on the roam. So a solo anchor against 4 with 40 seconds to hold out. Not an easy feat for Obey, and they put themselves in this position by being so aggressive.
Well, Vents definitely seems to be a big weakness for them. Swamp Fox picking up another one into Benji, but Bosco is still on the flank position. He's got to find 3. Low health on the IQ, and the opponent's taking a bit of damage as well, but Swamp Fox at full health. I'm not sure Bosco's going to pull this off as the plant starts to go down.
As the plant has been finally placed, Bosco is going to try and use that impact to get some information. He's not going to be able to do so. You can see Apache has mostly vaulted their way out of the site. They aren't playing this dangerous at all, about as safe as can be. They also have vertical pressure. That's going to be the Maverick of Swamp Fox above on full HP, so no matter what happens here, he's in a good position to deny the disable that diffuser. Also outside of front door, ooh, Bosco just narrowly coming off the angle at the wrong moment. Goes for pre-fire, but cannot make it past Swamp Fox's diligence on that top floor. Apache take another round, and what's this? 4-4. Can it be that Apache will be able to get a lead against Obey? They're 1 round away from doing so, and we actually might see map number 3.
Yeah, Coastline's getting closer and closer here to being a possibility if Apache could keep it up and if Obey get on a bit of a tilt. Just because the same situation keeps happening over and over to them. They keep getting into these 4v2s.
It's important to remember that this would right now would be 5-3 if Apache had not thrown their first attack.
Very true.
They absolutely threw it in the dumpster, and now they're starting to recover. They've brought it 2-4-4, so that's very impressive. But this would be a match point right now, if not for that. So they're inches away from getting their very first lead. They're just going to have to win one more round. Armory Locker is going to be the next defense for Obey. They were successful on the last time they defended the site, but again, that was mostly due to Apache gifting it to them.
Yeah. And if this gets to overtime, the who starts on what side first definitely might make a difference just based off the fact that it seems like attack might be a little bit better for Apache than their defenses on both maps, I would say, but especially on this one. Although, to be fair, they did get 2 defensive rounds, so it's still not too bad. But either way, they're showing a lot of strength that Obey just doesn't seem prepared to counter in the fact that, I mean, I'd say if nothing else, Apache are doing a good job trading some of those kills. And then when they do manage to get man advantage, they're managing to keep it for the most part. Something that I can't say necessarily for Obey lately in these last few rounds.
Again, I think for Obey, it's just been a struggle of being a little bit too aggressive and exposing themselves and allowing for those picks to happen. And then once that's happened, well, you're leaving Bosco pretty much alone to anchor on the site. And it's not, well, Bosco and Benji usually.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not an easy feat to go into 2 versus 4, 2 versus 5, whatever the case be. It's a lot to recover from.
Well, in this case, Bosco will be back on the smoke because it seems like that's the lineup depending on the bomb site, whereas when they're downstairs, Benji will play the smoke. When they're upstairs, Bosco will, but upstairs is where they've had more success. Although, as you said, part of that was to Apache just really struggling to close out their first attack on this, so we could see them successful this time just based off of that. They got a lot of early advantage the last time they played it, but Benji's playing very smart with that ACOG, and he's going to walk away with the kill and not overpress it, which is the right call, and that's going to take down some important utility from Astor, so they're going to have to try and recover from that now. Hopefully not stack up too much on this office's push. They're going to need to put some flank pressure on because the mobility from Obey is a little too high, especially as my man takes down the other semi-hard breacher.
You can see that Obey is playing a lot safer, but that is liable to change given that they have now a 2-man advantage. Well-established 2-man advantage from Obey as they're just waiting for their opportunities and seizing them. You can see that Apache is focused entirely on the east side of the building. That is obviously going to be an office push, but it's not as easy as I'm sure they would like it to be. The Valkyrie very likely has cameras and information, so Apache will call instead a rotation to CCTV, a very dangerous rotation that they just pulled off through the building instead of on the balcony, but it was pulled off perfectly.
What concerns me for Obey as well is even if they win this right now, then they have to go to a 3rd bomb site. They can't go back to ventilation next. Or no, they can because they didn't win it. What am I saying? They went up here voluntarily.
So they can't go to ventilation.
But it hasn't been good for them.
But yeah,
way.
They've been struggling on it, so I don't know that they'd want to. We'll see. Of course, they have to win this first, and they're going to further that exact goal by taking out Prompted, one of the standout players for Apache, using that hole down through the floor, or rather, more specifically, the drop down. Now, we do see the Habana finally open up that A wall, so the rotation is complete here for Apache. Grenades coming out to half wall, but there's nobody playing there. And the grenade will land and detonate softly. My man putting on some pressure, peeking wide, and just trying to distract his opponents as long as possible. Only 20 seconds left. Vaughn gets a double kill, though, and Skies with the C4. Benji with the final kill, and Obey will take the round. But that actually looked like it might have been a recovery from Apache. It was pretty scary towards the end there.
Yeah, definitely a case where had Benji been playing a little closer, he might not have been able to survive that as well. Taking advantage of the range of that ACOG definitely worked in his favor for at least 2 of those kills. So it's definitely a case where playing back a little bit helped them, maybe not playing as aggressive as they were. It was just the fact that, I mean, they had some good aggression towards the end there. You saw the bandit of, I believe it was my man, playing very close, and he wasn't playing bad. He actually almost lined up a nice 2-kill as they came in, but he wasn't hitting the headshots, and the damage wasn't doing enough to finish the kills, and so they got them on him, and it was down to other players to finish it. But either way, though, that does put Obey on match and map point on their worst bomb site.
Yeah, not where they want to be, but going back to ventilation, they've, again, as you said earlier, they've been struggling with this site. The anchors unable to 2 versus 4 every single round, and all of the roamers for Obey just getting shut down by Apache.
They almost might want to play for a late roam. You know, go upstairs, let them take it first to an extent, maybe have some peaks to be able to shoot upwards, knowing that they're going to open up that floor anyways, potentially, and put some pressure on while you have your roamers actually late rotate up instead to be able to get some pressure on them when they're least expecting and focus downward. But we'll see. They're going to have to obviously make some adaptations to the way it's being played, but the fact that they're bringing a Jackal now is definitely going to help in terms of shutting down any of those kinds of plays by late roamer movement.
You can see Obey could be setting up their heavy roam into CCTV, it seems, with that barbed wire. We saw this before. It was between Skies and Benji. Benji playing with the Maestro LMG all the way over in office and using that impact hole to deny the south doorway, while Skies was playing to deny the west balcony. But it's not going to be that same duo this time around. In fact, it's going to be, since we have a different site, a different lineup, and a different setup as well.
Strat B.
Yeah, Strat B here for Obey. The spray from a man will do a little bit of damage there to Swamp Fox, but not enough to get the down or the kill. Of course, on Repel, you can't be down, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's enough to send him scurrying away to another part of the site, though.
Yeah, and very important that he managed to do that. It means that you alleviate, pardon me, a little bit of pressure on that west balcony. You can see that Apache has chosen to adjust their attack accordingly, moving their way over to offices.
Maybe they need to bring a buck instead of a sledge with the way Aster's having to use that shotgun, but they are getting the job done at least. They are going to have to kind of work for the frustration from Aster.
So the Jackal shotgun is definitely a viable thing, but you need to I think it's something you need to practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we mostly see it for vertical play a lot of times. But Sky's going to take down Swamp and finish the job a man started. This is the start of a good round for Obey, who've been struggling, but Skies takes a bit of damage, and Adam falls in the meantime. So this is starting to slowly swing back to Apache, who really need this to bring it to overtime.
Yeah, and if they don't manage to bring it to overtime, we will not see map number 3. Nice shot here from a Skies. Willem, though, again, the refrag onto my man. So it's a 3-on-3. Obey unable to establish a distinct lead in this round. Skies also being so lit up is not going to bode well for Obey Alliance, and Skies has been one of the top performers for the team today. They really need him to get more frags, but prompted, what a shot onto Skies. Now he can use his vertical pressure to put Bosco and Benji in a bad spot, but Benji shuts him down. Those holes are 2 ways, and it looks like Obey is going to come out on top in that engagement. Vaughn and Willem now, the last 2 attackers. Willem retrieving the diffuser from upstairs, going to relocate and start to put himself in a position to drop down inevitably as he needs to, as we come down to the last 40 seconds. The shotgun, though, from Benji will down Willem. Terrible game sense from from Willem, who decides to stay upstairs in the last 30 seconds. You really can't have that in this situation. Benji missing some important shots onto Vaughn, but he will land just enough to put him on 1 HP. 20 seconds left, the 1 versus 2, and as Vaughn starts his push, it's not going to be an easy feat. Completely exposed to Benji, he will go down. Apache pushed out of this match, and a 2-0 for Obey Alliance.
That was definitely much closer to a 2-1 situation than I think Obey were comfortable with. They had to kind of shut it down there at the end, play a little more carefully. Strat B definitely working out for them a lot better than Strat A, I would say. But it definitely got close there towards the end. A lot of credit to Benji's shotgun from below. Kind of what I was talking about in terms of putting pressure upwards instead of worrying about it downwards. But in that case, it just came down to, I think, the same hole both times.